I'm Vinny Politan. Thanks so much for joining us. We begin this hour with our unsolved case file. We do it every night at 9 Eastern, taking a look at cases that may have gone cold but have not been forgotten, because there are victims out there and there are cases and people who need justice. Tonight it's a story out of Arizona, Mesa, Arizona, involving an 11-year-old girl who back in 1999 was just riding her bike. It was around sunset or so, and apparently heard the ice cream man. The bells were ringing, so her and her sister went to go find the ice cream man. They waited for a while. Ice cream man didn't show up, so one sister went home while Mikelle stayed and waited. Her parents told her to go back. Sister comes back within 90 seconds, and Mikelle Biggs is gone. Gone. Her bicycle there. It's a tragic story, but it's one we want to shine a light on tonight. Our great affiliate, KGUN in Tucson, has more for us.
It was January 2nd, 1999. About this time of night, the sun was just beginning to set when Mikelle, just 11 years old, heard that ever intoxicating sound.
And she came and got me and said, let's go wait for the ice cream truck.
Mikelle's younger sister, Mikelle Biggs.
So we went outside. She was on my bike, and there was a bunch of kids outside playing.
Hours passed. The ice cream man never came. Eventually, kids trickled inside. 9-year-old Kimber wanted to follow suit, but her older sister was determined. Mikelle stayed alone on the corner, just half a block from home.
I went in the house and I was like, complaining. The ice cream truck never came. And she's like, well, it's dark. Go get Mikelle.
But when Kimber returned to that corner, Mikelle was nowhere to be found. Instead, she saw the ice cream money scattered on the ground, the bike laying in the street, tires still spinning. Immediately, her mother called 911. Police later had Kimber retrace her steps from the corner to home and back several times, and eventually they figured out she couldn't have been gone for more than 90 seconds.
But I remember when they told me that, I couldn't comprehend, well, how would someone come in that fast, that quietly, and leave with her and no one anywhere hear anything?
There was so little, to go on.
Detective Steve Berry was among dozens called to the scene.
We flooded the area. There was officers everywhere in that area, in the surrounding area, combing the neighborhoods, combing the alleys, looking all over the place for Mikelle.
In what is described as the largest manhunt in Arizona history, hours turned to days, then weeks, then months. Homes were searched, neighbors were interviewed, all area ice cream men were vetted and cleared. No one had seen a thing, no one could find Mikelle. Today, 15 years later, not much appears to have changed in this quiet Mesa neighborhood. In fact, when our cameras first arrived, we were greeted by an eerily familiar sound. But look deeper and you'll find a place haunted by memories.
And it was at least almost a year before people would let their kids out to play.
Darlene Smith lived across the street from the Biggs home. They have since moved. She has not.
Every day when I go out and get my newspaper, I look at the window, which was her bedroom. It's the first time I've ever known someone who was kidnapped or probably murdered, and it stays with you.
It stayed with the Mesa Police Department, too, where detectives remain assigned to Mikelle's case. In fact, tucked away inside the Mesa PD's evidence vault is Mikelle's bike, the same one found stranded on the corner the day she disappeared.
It's extraordinarily frustrating. We as police officers and detectives, we are problem solvers and finders of information and things. And when we have a case that we can't solve or we can't find, it's troubling.
As for Kimber, years of guilt and unanswered questions fuel her fight. Now a mother herself, she recently took to social media to push her sister's story back into the spotlight.
I was talking to my dad about this, and he said a secret doesn't stay a secret forever. Someone somewhere knows something. The only way I can figure to get any leads and have this case go anywhere again is by getting it back out there. That's my goal, is because my family and I want answers, and we can't take this silence anymore.
All right, folks, if you have any information, please call the Mesa Police Department, 480-644-2211. The Mesa Police Department, 480-644-2211. Half a block from her home. And I mean, neighbors did not want to go out. They didn't let their kids out. You heard from one of the neighbors for a year. I mean, people were just scared to death. Joining us tonight to help us talk about this, former gang homicide detective, criminal defense attorney, family attorney now, Donald Schweitzer is with us. Donald, great to see you. Let's start with the scene, okay? The way it's described, the bicycle is in the street. The money for the ice cream man is just all over the place. What does that tell you?
Certainly smacks of an abduction to me. I mean, that sounds like somebody was there in a nanosecond, took her, and got her into a car and drove away. That would be my instinct.
And because they've spoken to neighbors, they've interviewed neighbors, they interviewed the ice cream men, a bunch of them, and to me, it does seem that way. So they've got the bicycle. Is there a difference in the technology and the forensic evidence you can get from that today versus 1999 when this happened? Is there any reason to re-examine that bicycle to see if you can pick anything up?
Well, of course, Vinny. I think that our technology in solving crimes through DNA is always getting better. In 2021, it's obviously better than at that time. We're talking about 20 years ago. But DNA was being used in solving crimes back then. It had advanced enormously. I'm sure that the police department has already thought of that. My feeling, Vinny, is that this is maybe a case where we need a fresh set of eyes. Maybe witnesses should be re-interviewed. The one thing that you and I know is that nobody tells the lie the same way twice, especially when you got 20 years. So going back and interviewing people that were suspects, and then also taking a look at the registered offenders that are in that area who were there then and who have been there since. And then finally, what I was thinking in this case is I'd want to see, has anybody changed their behavior in a weird way since this crime took place? Have they moved far away? Have they changed their identity? You just look for some peculiarities and try to follow it.
That's interesting because, they looked at people in the neighborhood, but now you look back at the people that were in the neighborhood 20 years later and see, well, what has transpired in their lives? Do we know a little bit more about these people? And maybe is there one that we should take a closer look at? We posted this on social media and people have a lot of comments, questions, etc. I wanted to put one of them up on the screen right now. This is from Amanda, who says, I would re-interview the ice cream men because someone had to see something. And that's such a big part of this story. Could it be a red herring? Because that was the reason they were there, right? Because they heard the bells, but then the ice cream man never seemed to show up.
It could be. I don't think that the police should really be closed-minded and narrow in their scope at this point. The one thing that, does ring true in this case is that, there were kids waiting for an ice cream truck, and I would want to look for similar crimes that have occurred within this area. Are there other crimes where an ice cream truck was nearby? That would be something to look at. But certainly, you don't want to just focus on one thing. There's a lot of areas to look. And fortunately, there's a sister by the name of Kimberly that's keeping this thing alive. Thank God this family is keeping this alive, and thank goodness for this program. And social media, powerful tools of keeping the story out there, because as Kimberly said, is somebody can't keep a lie forever. They can't keep a secret forever. Somebody may say something, and hopefully this case will be solved.
I think about where we are right now in the cases and crimes that we cover today. There is so much digital evidence, whether it's a surveillance video, cell phone, triangulation, figuring out what phones were in the area. Back in 1999, it was 1999, but it was a different world.
Yeah, Ring cameras, those type of cameras on homes weren't prevalent. They probably didn't even really exist. I mean, it would be the exception to the rule. Nowadays, if you had something like this, you would probably see the car driving on that street. I mean, it's just unfortunate that they didn't have something like this. And there's no question in my mind that the police have worked very hard. They combed the area, they interviewed all the neighbors, they went searching. But the technology wasn't the same back then, that's for sure.
Let's put up another comment from one of our viewers. And again, you can go on my Facebook page, folks. I'm posting this stuff each and every day if you have questions about these. Sharon, I almost think it had to be someone she knew. No screams or anything, right? There was no indication of screams. And you think of this abduction, which apparently looks like it happened in the middle of the street. It had to be very startling and surprising. Could it be someone that she knew and then was surprised that this person that she knew was doing something? Yeah, and that leads me to suggest or think that maybe they should be looking at the special activities that Mikelle was involved in. Was she part of a dance group? Was there somebody at school where there were adult men or adult people? And, was there somebody that she was familiar with where she would have gotten in the car? The only thing is that the money, was on the streets. And it seems like maybe there was a snatch and grab. It doesn't look to me like it was something where she was coaxed into the car because the way that the bike was positioned like that. It just happened so fast. If they're going to coax a kid into a car, I would think that would take maybe a little bit of a conversation. But in this case, when Kimberly came out, it looked like something had happened. She says that she even felt it. She could just feel it in the air that something bad had happened. Recently we've come across some stories where people were taken. We thought they were gone, but they were held hostage for years. I mean, decades, and ultimately saved at some point. There's a chance she could still be alive. Sure. We definitely have seen that in many cases, or not a majority of the cases, though. There are stories like that. Certainly, this family has felt that she's no longer with us. I mean, they had the funeral about 4 years later, with an empty casket. And I think as the years go on, you start losing hope. But it could happen. You never know. I want to put up a really interesting comment. This comes from Christina, who writes, "So, if they heard the ice cream truck, but it never came, it sounds like someone used the tune to lure the children out and then waited for one to be alone." And that's kind of what you're talking about, right? Looking at if there's something like this has happened before, and maybe it's a way to lure the children, and if this has ever happened in that area or perhaps even further away. Yeah, Vinny, what I think is when I first read the story, I thought, was there somebody that seen this child before? Because a lot of times these perpetrators, they get a feel for who they want to get. They case it. It may not be the first time they saw her. And so there might have been an opportunity where that person knew that these kids went to the ice cream truck, that they played outside alone, and just used that opportunity. Not necessarily played a ice cream truck noise. I mean, that's a little far-fetched for me. I wouldn't rule anything out, but it's a little far-fetched. But thinking that, this would be the right time to get this child, that could be. It happened quickly because she was only alone for about 90 seconds. Donald Schweitzer, I know you're super busy. Appreciate your time and expertise. Thank you. Thank you, Vinny.